Hey guys, here we are, the Quiggin Out MMA podcast, episode 49. And I decided to do something a little bit different. We always talk about the mixed martial artist. And for this episode, I brought in somebody who's a little bit of both, a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I haven't even gotten to his degree yet, but the one and only Phillip Lietz, a true artist when it comes to not only jiu-jitsu, but art as well. So welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Happy to do this.
Hey, not a problem. So, we talk about, I'll jump right into it. Everybody can see it on the ticker, being an artist. So, talk about what came first, the jiu-jitsu or the art, or has it been just a kind of a combination of the two?
Yeah, definitely the art first. I was drawing all the time when I was a little kid. And when I was in high school, I kind of came to the conclusion that with a little bit of encouragement from family and friends that it should be something that I pursue as a career. And so I just started, through high school making artwork and everything. And they do have a connection though, the art and the jiu-jitsu, because my introduction to Brazilian jiu-jitsu came by way of my art teacher. His name's Keith Olschlager. And he's at the time he was a purple belt and then had just received his brown belt shortly after, I think, honestly, like a couple of weeks after I started training with him. But anyway, he was my teacher in school, and I knew that he had done some jiu-jitsu, and I knew he was kind of a part of it. And then I was 19, and I had started college, and there was like this situation where a fight kind of could have happened out with some friends. These guys got in our faces, and nothing happened. Thankfully, but it was like, man, I should really like learn how to not get my ass kicked if I get in a fight. Right. And I went back to Keith, my high school art teacher, cause he and I remained friends, and we would, meet in the summers when he didn't have to teach, to draw just out in Denver. We just draw and go draw people and draw landscapes and stuff like that. And, I contacted him and I was like, hey, do you still do that, jiu-jitsu stuff or whatever? And he was like, yeah.
Or whatever, right?
Yeah, or whatever. At the time, I mean, I might not have even called it jiu-jitsu. I might have said something like, I might have been like, do you still do that kung fu stuff? Because I wasn't terribly educated on it at the time. So it was the art first, and then gradually they kind of merged together. But even though my way of getting into jiu-jitsu was by way of my art teacher, I actually didn't bother drawing any jiu-jitsu or martial arts at all until like 3 years after college or something. Like, wow. It was way later. I think it was like 2009, 2010 maybe. And that was a few years after I had started jiu-jitsu. So it was October of I said 2017 earlier. I don't know why, but it was December of 2007.
I was going to say that sounds more accurate.
Yeah. I don't know why I said 2017 before. I don't know how that happened, but it's just like a slip of the tongue, I guess. But anyway, so I just, it took a while before the two merged together, and I started drawing and painting the art that I practice. But yeah, anyway, long answer to a shorter question.
No, and that's kind of the idea behind it, is that if you would have just been like my art teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been a little more boring.
And I think the idea behind it, because again, I started covering MMA. Like, I didn't get into MMA until 2008. I caught a couple, my roommates watched it, and I caught a couple of the WEC wreckages. So like Jose Aldo, Cub Swanson, Mike Brown, Uriah Faber too, like those fights, like Miguel Angel Torres, who was on my show for the last episode. So my mind is still like reeling over that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, and I got into it and I started writing about it, and I realized that the more I got into it, the better I could write about it, the better I could understand.
Totally. Yeah.
And it was weird. I wrote for a while for an online, I say magazine. It's an online magazine for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But as a blue belt, it's a lot harder to write about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's one thing to go to class, to train, to understand, and be able to tell people in class.
Sure.
But to sit there and explain it, and I know Maria's going to be watching this, one of my coworkers, and somebody who's gonna, beat me up one of these days. I think she's a black belt under Rob Kahn. So
nice. Wow.
Yeah. Rob's a great guy. Like, I know if most people don't know Rob, like I live probably an hour away from where the school is, and I got to meet him the same day I got to meet Hoist Gracie. I was there, and it was so funny to watch him, Hoist Gracie, and Matt Arroyo just kind of interact with each other. They're like pushing each other. They're like telling jokes. They're like making fun of each other. And I'm sitting back going, you can't talk to Hoist like that. Like, that's not allowed.
I know. He's a scary dude, man. Like anytime you're around any of the Gracies, you just like kind of want to leave them alone, they're intimidating, really intimidating guys.
Well, of course. And then we were up in New Jersey the end of October, and my girlfriend's aunt and uncle live in Old Bridge, which most people don't know where that is, but Holes has a school up there.
Oh yeah.
And it was 7 minutes away, and I went, man, I couldn't pack my gi. I was like, I really wanted to go.
Yeah, man. I know what you mean. Like it's been a habit for me to bring a gi pretty much wherever we go. If we travel, we were just in Iceland and we were going to train there, but unfortunately, it was like right over the holiday, and so everyone was closed. So it was like nothing really doing. Schedules didn't pan out, but eventually I'll train there.
What did you go to Iceland for? Just on vacation?
We went there to go. We were trying to go see the Northern Lights and stuff, and then the Blue Lagoon, the hot springs out there, and then I got engaged out there. So yeah,
I don't know if you can see it, but this.
We stayed literally at a hotel, literally right in front of that church, dude.
Oh my god!
Yes, right in front of it, like
crazy.
Literally right in front of it. That's incredible.
So I found that like last week. I've always been fascinated with the Northern Lights, and I know that at some point there were times like in New York, New Jersey, you could see them if everything lined up, which I was really hoping to. But I mean, it was the same temperature in Florida that it was in New Jersey when we got there, which was depressing.
Yeah, that's rough.
Because we packed like pants and long sleeves, and then we got there, and I'm like, it's the same temperature.
It's hot, man.
Like, at night it got down to the 40s, the 30s. I was like, okay, this is more like it. But right now, if I open the door, it's 68 degrees outside, and it's January.
Oh my god, dude! You just that's dark, man. It was 3 degrees. It was 3 degrees last night here in Colorado. So it's cold, man. It was real cold.
It's a bit of a change. Well, I still haven't been to Colorado, and I know one of the editors of the site I work for, Combat Press, I think Dan lives out there. I think a couple of our other guys. So one of these days I got to make it out there. Like,
absolutely, yeah. And when you do, give me a call. We can come train.
So I didn't mean to bring this up, but I read something the other day that I want your opinion on.
Okay.
And it was an article that said, don't ask a black belt to roll.
Oh, weird.
And they said there was things about it being disrespectful. If they were the teacher, maybe they're injured. So I kind of want to get your take on that. Like, I'm going to go right into this. It wasn't planned, but since you said that, I'm like, you invited me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It wasn't the other way around. So how do you feel about, somebody who comes into your school and says, hey, I want to roll with you? Like,
I think that's awesome. I couldn't care less. Yeah. It's actually an interesting topic because, so I started jiu-jitsu 14 years. This year is my 14th year in jiu-jitsu. So 2007, October, November, December, sometime in that frame is when I started. And then, so I've been training for 14 years. It's a good amount of time. It's not crazy long. I know guys who've been black belts longer than I've been alive. So, whatever, but, but the school where I started, it's so laid back, like you could wear any color gi you want. Nobody cares. There's no bowing on and off the mat. There's no etiquette in terms of like, don't ask an upper belt to roll, any of that stuff. No one knows, you never know when you're going to get promoted. Like that's the way I grew up in jiu-jitsu. And I, through traveling and just having lots of friends out here in Denver at different schools who I visit all the time, we go to visit other schools and you learn pretty quickly that there's totally different etiquette and totally different rules when you go to different places. And so, absolutely. I have to be respectful to that because it's like, who am I to say what other people should or shouldn't do with their school or how they want to do it? But I can't stand the rigid rule structure. Like, you can only wear a white gi except for Tuesdays or something. And you have to like pay, like schools that make you pay a big drop-in fee, like buy one of our gis in order to train, stuff like that. I get why people do it. It just kind of flies against the way I kind of think about engaging with jiu-jitsu. I grew up in jiu-jitsu watching those Art Suave tapes, and it's like everyone's just a surfer. It's like everyone just wants to surf and hang out and train, and it's like, it's fine. Hey, just bring your gi, let's go train, bro. And it's like, all right, yeah, sick, I love it. I do understand that there are places where, if you're a really competitive school, like if you're a super competitive school where you have 40 black belts on the mat and they're all vying for world titles, okay, I can understand you don't need people just dropping into your school and trying to kill all your best guys. So you have to make a bar for entry. Like, I get that. And I also get that schools want to enforce the kind of martial art, like the traditional martial arts, hierarchical, super profound, bowing, respectful vibes. I like that too. I get it. It's just, I don't think you should ever feel bad about asking someone to roll, because they can just tell you no. You know what I mean? Like, if it's disrespectful, just be like, no, thanks, I'll get you next time. And then pull them to the side of the mat and be like, hey, we have like this rule here. Like, it's just a little, a lot of the guys here feel like it's uncouth to ask a big, an upper belt to roll if you're a lower belt. But I don't know. If I'm going to be just super frank about it, I feel like that mainly just plays into egos. It's just like, if I'm a blue belt and you're a black belt, what does it matter if I ask you if you want to train? Like, I'm going to listen to you and do everything you tell me to do because you're the upper belt. Like, what's the disrespect in asking? Like, if anything, that's a compliment. Like, when someone asks me to train, I take it as a compliment, because they want to, not only do they trust me to train with them and not hurt them, but they also want to roll with me. They're asking you for and agreeing to the challenge of just trying to beat the shit out of each other, And to me, that takes a lot of courage and is a sign of real respect. So, like the whole, like, don't ask a black belt to roll thing, to me just seems, I don't know, seems a little silly. But people have different schools, whatever,
Well, and I like the idea behind it, and we kind of hit some turbulence as far as video and audio and that. So hopefully everybody can hear what was going on. I just, like I said, it's because it's a clear night. There's no storms. They're like, you know what? Let's just
screw with their internet, these guys.
Yeah, I did a show while there was an active hurricane coming at us, and I didn't have a single problem. But I told the guy, I said, hey, man, listen, if all of a sudden my video cuts off, it's because a tree fell on my house.
Oh, man. That's funny. Man.
But I think the style that you just described, not having the etiquette, because there are some times where you'll have somebody pull you aside and be like, hey, man, that wasn't cool. Or, it could be something as simple as, I've pulled people aside, and I'm a blue belt. I'm not a coach. I'm not a professor, but I've been like, hey, man, what you said over there, not cool. What you did over there, not cool. We're training. We're not competing. Don't try to break your training partner's arm. When you're rolling for the first time with somebody you don't know. Like, don't do that.
No.
But I think it talks about the ever evolving sport.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
It's an ever evolving situation where, like you said, there are going to be schools that are going to be super strict.
Yeah.
So,
and
give it a second to catch up, because I think we're talking at the same time, so it works.
Sure.
But
can you hear me? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're good. It's weird, because it'll be like working, and then it's like, boop, nope.
Hey, man, it is what it is. Can't control the internet, right? So,
or can we?
So I mean, I do enjoy it's been really fun to have the privilege to train at a lot of different places and travel to a lot of different places and experience a really wide range of different school etiquette and school styles. Like, I started the place that I started here in Colorado, and the place that it's the same gym. We've just changed names. It used to be called Colorado Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then a few of us from Colorado Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu split off and did our own thing. And I'm with these guys called the Sanctuary, but it's a Quiggin Machado. Yeah. It's a Quiggin Machado affiliate. We're under Quiggin. And, but one of our coaches, Charlie Minkin, she's an Olympic an Olympic judoka. She was on the same team as Ronda Rousey. Her and her whole family and her brothers and sisters and stuff, they all train with Half out in California. So they're all under Half Gracie. And I guess what I'm trying to say is there's like a lot of different influences just at our school.
Yeah.
But then I've been able to bounce around. I trained in Texas with Phil Cardella, who's a Helson Gracie black belt. I was friends with Donald Park down there in Austin, who's a Hoyler black belt. I spent some time living in Seattle, like a real short time living in Seattle. And so I trained at a bunch of the schools out there. I lived overseas in Germany, and I trained at a Hilti place, which was under Brazilian top team at the time. Like I went to the camp in, like Felipe Costa and Rodrigo Comprito Medeiros. They hold those BJJ camps they did one in Athens when I was living in Germany. And so I went out there and I got to spend time with them and meet people.
Awesome.
I met people from everywhere, man, from Mexico, from Turkey, from Finland and New Zealand and Australia, people from all over the world. And so it's been so rad to meet all these different people and experience all these different styles of jiu-jitsu, man. Like not in the terms of the game you play. I mean, that's true too, but I mean, just in the culture of each school. Some schools are so rigid, so like strict, very like, keep you in the bounds, which is fine. It's cool and all, but I've just gotten into the habit of like, before I go somewhere, I like will email whatever school it is. And I would say, hey, I'm visiting. Can you, if your site doesn't have it, can you tell me a little bit about the rules at your school? Because the last thing you want to do is like accidentally be that guy who goes in and has the wrong color gi and doesn't treat anybody with what they think is the culture of respect. I don't want to be that guy. So.
No, absolutely not. And I think that's what should happen. And I think that's the same thing with MMA and the cross training that people do. You can't stay at the same gym. You can't only train with the same people.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly like incorporating that into my life too, where it's like, I've jumped into school here or there just to see. And I mean, when I was a white belt, I went to a Gracie school.
Nice.
And one of the white belts, his shoulder pressure was the worst I've ever experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tapped and he went, "What happened?" And I went, "That sucked."
Yeah,
like,
sure.
There's no getting around that. And I think with jiu-jitsu, it's the same way. But I also feel like what's ingrained in you is still the respect, whether you're the tight-knit group or whether you're a little bit more lax when it comes to the rule set, or that you still reach out and say, "Hey, I'm coming on this week. Like, is there anything I need to know? Like, what should I do?" You're still respecting that school. And I think that speaks to, who you are as a person and a martial artist when it comes to that.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, it's just one of those things that you can't avoid when you're in any kind of combat sport for too long. Like I think anyone who sticks into one of those sports for a while ends up, you kind of get a time where you get a bit of an ego and you get a little arrogant, you start doing well. And then, something happens, somebody comes to visit and just smokes the shit out of you, just beats it. It's nuts, man. And I think that changes you. And I think it makes you it just makes you more considerate of what, what someone else might be thinking or feeling, or what kind of experience they may or may not be having as a practitioner and as someone, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And sorry, it just threw like connection is unstable. I'm like, what?
Oh man.
It doesn't like us today. So,
nah.
But again, it speaks to who you are, because, anybody who's listening to this, they should abide by that. You don't just show up and go, I'm going to take out the highest level guy and show everybody how good I am. Sure. You don't do that. Jiu-jitsu is not about an ego. If you're there for an ego, I don't care who's listening right now. Leave. Stop training. If you're there for an ego, because I will never forget feeling like I was getting pretty good going into that blue belt. And then those first rolls where you just get smashed
Yeah.
And you go, what happened?
Yeah.
I thought I was getting good. And they all went, we took the bumpers off. Like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah. No, it's rough, man. It can be so tough when you, like I was competing a lot, like right from like purple belt and then into my first year at black belt. I was competing all the time. I was really into it. I just loved it, man.
Mhm.
And I did fine. I did well in a few situations. I never won anything major, but what was always fun was you would go to a competition and some days you'd get just smoked by someone who you might have rolled with them before and you might have beat them at the gym before and they just tear you up on the competition mat, just somehow it just happens. You're like, oh, damn. Or like the other cool thing is, or you could have a match against a world-class dude. Like I had a fight to win pro match against Michael Liera Jr. I don't know if you know who that is, right? Yeah, dude's real good. And real good. And he submitted me in like 45 seconds. And it's just like, all right, well, thanks for your time. I'll see you next time.
I appreciate you
Yeah.
the learning experience I
Yeah.
just got from you.
Yeah. But I mean, eventually enough ass kickings and you just try not to be an asshole,
Yeah.
But sometimes you can still be an asshole. It happens.
Well, I think that's we talk about that sometimes when it comes to competing. Like I wanted to compete so bad as a white belt. I said, I'm gonna compete as a white belt, see what happens. And then I got my blue belt and I went, shit.
Yeah.
Like now, like, and
now you have to.
yeah, now not only that, but you get blue belts that stage, like we talked about. Like people don't stay a white belt forever. People can stay a blue belt forever. People can slowly just pop in whenever they want, kind of do things.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is that like it's a challenge. And we've got guys in the gym when they got their purple belts, that switch turned on.
Oh yeah.
And the next time you rolled, you went, where has that been for the last 3 years? Like what was that?
Yeah. It's true.
And it kind of just blows your mind because, again, and it's not to toot my own horn, but when I rolled my professor for the first time as a blue belt, he called me out at the end of class and he said, I'm not going to say who. He goes, but Quiggins. He like pointed right at me. He goes, I've never felt anybody change like you did from white to blue. And I mean, I took that as the greatest compliment in the world.
Yeah.
Because I was going and I ran out of gas. And I remember I was going for a sweep and I had it, and I just didn't have enough in me. And he just is rolling with me going, no. Like, keep going.
That's awesome. Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's fun. There's the progress that you make. I mean, especially I think like from white to purple is like a huge, like people change completely. They can start as one kind of person. And by the time they get to that purple belt, they're a totally different animal, just a
absolutely
completely different human, And so, and I think it's really good of a professor to do that. So like acknowledge when you have made improvements and like give you some kudos, because so much of jiu-jitsu and grappling and any kind of martial art is just getting fucked up, man. You just get like, and I mean like just
you realize you need to draw that right now for a shirt. Just jiu-jitsu. Let's get
yeah, it's just getting fucked up, man. That's all we are. That's all it is. Like and then you go through a time where you get fucked up less, and then everyone decides like, all right, he's getting too difficult to fuck up with 25%. Now I'm going to take it up to 35% and make his life a living hell. I mean, because you can really torture somebody for a 10-minute round on the mat. You can make their life miserable for a long time.
Absolutely.
And so it's good I think it's nice when your coach gives you some really positive verbal feedback. I think that keeps a lot of people involved,
Yeah. And I think it's what's needed, because you have people, and I always have to kind of remind people, because covering the sport for so long, talking to fighters for so long, I'd be watching fights and go, get up. Like, why can't you get up from this? And then I get put in that exact same position and I go, oh, that's why.
Oh, yeah. No, I hate that. God, I fucking hate that so much. like about modern MMA, when, you know, you hear that, you see some grappling going on the ground, and it's one thing when the crowd is just like, boo, stand him up, you know, like, it's just like, you know, that person's just a dummy. But like, it's worse when the ref does it, and the ref is actually like, yeah, no, nothing's happening, stand him up. And it's like, dude, most refs are good about it, right? Most refs are really good, and it's a hard job. But man, like, that's the worst. Like, all of us have memory of a fight in any MMA organization when we know it could be a really good grappling match, and it gets to the ground, and it's not an immediate progression, and so you start to get that little bit of boo, you know, and then you can see the ref buckle, and you're like, God damn it, dude, he was just passing. What are you doing? You know,
like, he was literally Kimuring him. Like, yes. It's fair.
Dude,
what are you doing?
Well, so annoying.
I think it was one of the last Bellator cards I watched. Like, I think it was the Horiguchi and Pettis fight. Like, it was a great fight. So, spoiler alert for anybody who didn't watch. So, Horiguchi destroys Pettis for 4 rounds straight. Like, it's not even close. And 5th round, Pettis throws a high kick into a spinning back fist and literally knocks Horiguchi out cold.
Damn. Dude, it can change like that.
But the crowd was like, boo.
Yeah.
I'm like, shut up.
What just happened is amazing. How can you not find that incredible?
They'll boo, you know, and like, they put him up against the fence, boo. Like, listen, it's called mixed martial arts. If you don't want to see him go to the ground, go watch boxing.
Yeah, for
sure. I hear Jake Paul's boxing, so, you know.
There's some truth to that, right? Well, it's like, there's I think like Anderson Silva, one of his only early submission losses was in a fight in Japan.
Was in Pride, Ryo Chonin.
When he got heel hooked, right? I mean,
the flying scissor heel hook, man.
Silva was beating the shit out of him. Beat the shit out of him, right? And he was just like, all right, screw it. I've got nothing left to do. It goes for the Connie Bassani, right? And just heel hooks, and you're like, no way. That just happened. It's the biggest win of your career. That's awesome, you know?
And he'll always have that. But what always bothered me, it was that they would then those parallels started to, and I just like to say McNugget. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
I do?
Good old Connor.
Oh, yes, of course.
And they're like, oh, his loss to Joe Duffy. You know, Joe Duffy's going to be a problem for him. And I'm like, listen, Ryo Chonin beat Anderson Silva 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
If he fought Silva today or fought him in his prime, not even close.
It wouldn't even be funny.
Yeah. So, like, stop focusing on that. But you know, Ryo Chonin can die and be like, I beat Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
Like that.
It's true. Yeah. Just stop. Call it now, man.
Yeah.
Just call it now. Like, you got it that one time, you know, like just live in that moment.
I remember that being one of the earlier things I had seen when I started watching MMA, and I had no idea what that was. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know, when I started watching, you know, I watched those fights, and then my buddy got me into Pride, and he was like, hey man, just come to my house. And I go to his house, and we'd watch Pride for like 6 hours at a time.
Yeah, for sure. It's so good.
And you'd see horrible fights, and you'd see good fights.
Yeah.
And they were mostly good fights because, you know, if they got knocked out of the ring, there was like a group of people that just dragged them back.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah, man. Totally. So sick.
Dude, Igor Varchenchkin. I'm saying his name wrong, but dude was 5'10" heavyweight, and he just
big,
like literally like legs like this, and you're just like, how is he moving the way?
You're just gonna There's certain people with specific enough body types to where it should be illegal that they learn jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, we got a couple. There's a guy down here in Colorado who he was an Olympic wrestler, and it's just not fair. It's like, you don't have to do any jiu-jitsu at all. Like, he's a bronze medalist at the Shanghai Games, I think. And he's
oh, that's not fair at all.
He's a wonderful guy. He's like the nicest guy ever. And rolling with him is the worst time ever. It's just awful because he's a black belt and he's a freakish athlete, right? So it's just like, oh, you and I are not even close to the same thing. Like, you are so far.
Like, we have the same color belt, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's our belts are closer than our DNA, man. Like, you know, he's crazy.
Well, and that's what you have to tell. Like, you get some of the guys that are just naturally gifted
Oh
when
yeah,
it comes to
sure.
the athleticism, and I will be mid roll and I'll stop them and I'll go, hey man, I love that you're doing this,
Yeah.
but that's not technique. You're just using strength to overpower me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. I was like, but you're not learning anything. And I said the brown belts and the black belts, they're gonna sweep you because you're a little too crazy.
Sure, sure. I mean, that does happen. I mean, um, I think when I was a blue belt and a purple belt, I had experiences similar to what you're talking about,
Yeah.
where you get rolling with somebody and they are just a totally different human than you, and they start doing crazy stuff, and it's like, yes, it's true that maybe they're not really grasping the concept of using technique as like a part of their
Mhm.
learning development. However, um, with hindsight now, I recognize that those were the absolute best learning opportunity for me because, um, you have enough experiences throughout your time grappling and you roll with people who don't give a shit about whatever pretext you're there for. Right.
Yeah.
And, you have to, if you really want to be like a credentialed long-term jiu-jitsu practitioner, at least what the way I was brought up anyway is anything's fine. Like okay, if we're going to punch each other, we're talking about something different and we're going to play a very different game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but if we're just playing jiu-jitsu, I may not get to hit you and you may not get to hit me, but I'm still going to make your life fucking miserable. And if you don't like it when I twist your arm like this, I'm sorry, but you need to tap. Or like when someone chokes you and they you put a choke in and they tap and then they get done and they're like, oh, it was on my mouth. It's like, okay, well, lift your chin.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like you tapped, if you tap to that on the head, you're also going to tap when you lift your chin. Like do better at defending. Like you're chucking your chin is not a legitimate defense. So it's like it's one of those things, or at least it's not a foolproof defense, right? And so I don't know. I felt like I know what you're talking about, and I totally get that feeling.
But I love that you brought a different perspective to that because that's you're absolutely right because you're going, this person isn't using the techniques I'm used
Right.
to. They're not using what I'm supposed to. And that kind of just blew my mind because you're absolutely right. You have to adapt.
Yeah.
Because
because if we're talking about jiu-jitsu as like a legitimate, even if you never fight anybody, if you want it to be useful, like the real difference is like you gotta let whoever your training partners are do whatever they want to do to you, and you have to be willing to endure that. Like if you're approaching your training in a way that says, oh, we're only going to do this set of agreed things, it's like then you're doing taekwondo.
You're not training. You're acting out
right. You're doing one of those weird martial arts where like a 10-year-old can wear a black belt, and you're like, that's not real. Like it's just, you know what I'm saying? So it's I think it's a good thing, but I definitely understand that there's like, when you're in that space, when you're a blue belt, purple belt, and especially if you're not like one of the jack bros that always excels super quickly at jiu-jitsu, it can be really, really rough. Like the learning curve is steep and it hurts, man. So I feel you. I really do.
It does suck. And, normally I wouldn't do this, but it's like one of the guys one of our white belts just got promoted to blue belt.
You gonna call him out?
That I've rolled with a lot. No, in a good way. Because we'd be rolling and I'd stop him. I'd be like, you know what's about to happen, right? And I would just say things, or we'd be rolling and I'd be on top. At one point, I put my arms out. I'm literally like floating on top of him, and he did nothing. And I went, you can't let that happen.
Yeah, no.
So I know he just got his blue belt. So congrats, Ben. I'm going to shout him out. My coach, who's actually leaving, he's moving to North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Got his brown belt.
Nice.
One of my coaches anyways.
Yeah, nice.
So thanks, Brian, for everything. Again, normally I wouldn't do this, but he's leaving and all this stuff just happened. So I'm like,
hey, yeah, man, you got to shout out to people who do good.
It's cool to watch somebody learn something.
Oh yeah.
Somebody take something from you, whether you're a white belt. When I was a white belt, I had people go, I'm quitting. I'm getting smashed every time I go out there. And I have to explain to everybody over and over again. You don't win. You don't learn anything from winning. You
Yeah.
really
No,
don't.
no. I don't know. I think you do.
That's where the ego comes in. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
yeah, yeah.
But you don't learn nearly as much.
Yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
say.
yeah. Sure, sure. I think you learn different lessons, right? I mean, um, like you can certainly learn a lot from your successes. You know, I mean, um, like just as an example, like let's say we're getting ready for a tournament or something, and let's say, you know, sometimes the class isn't always what you want it to be, right? Like some
One
nights
hundred percent.
we've got 6 black belts on the mat, and it's going to be a hard round every night, right? Or every night that they're there. But some nights you have three or four blue belts, maybe a couple of white belts, maybe one purple belt. You know what I mean? So it's like a smaller number, and so sometimes you have to like handicap yourself in order to up the level of training. So that way, if you're getting ready, right? So that way that, you know, you can really capitalize on the level of training partner that you have. And sometimes you know, if you're rolling against somebody pretty good, like a tough purple, brown, or black belt, like a really tough one, you might handicap yourself. And the best thing you do all around is you gain a slightly better angle from half guard, or like, you know, you could fight 10 straight minutes and all you get is like a solid head grip trying to backstep out of a guard situation, or maybe it's all you can do to not get submitted, right? Like that's a victory. That's the same thing as like choking your opponent. It's the same thing. You're still, it's like, it's all just techniques, you know, you're still gaining a lot from every single one of them. And you know, but you're absolutely right. You definitely learn a lot more from loss, and people tend to remember their losses a lot more than their victories. You know what I mean? Because the losses they hurt your heart. You're like, I'm a loser. If I was an animal, I would have been eaten. You know what I mean? Or if like that dude just broke my leg and I would have been lion fodder. Like, fuck, you know, you know what I'm saying?
And that's
you know what I'm talking about though? Like you think about it from like if you were in like a tribe somewhere way back in the day, and you were like, all right, I have a disagreement with this guy. I think he stole my bone marrow. Like, damn you, whatever your name is. Like, and you fight him to get your bone marrow, and he like breaks your head open with an elbow or something. And you're like, well, shit, you know,
you can't
like,
be like,
yeah.
Out,
yeah, you can't.
out,
yeah,
out.
You think he's gonna let you tap? No, he's gonna kill you. He's gonna stab you with the bone marrow you want. You know,
like I like that you said stab and you had to make the motion.
Yeah. His art, man. It's like you got to act it out. You got to feel it, otherwise you're not gonna.
Oh, yeah, right. Well,
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up too. The feeling, because most people don't realize that's a part of jiu-jitsu too. Because that muscle memory, everything that goes into it, your body will do things you don't know it's doing.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I've felt something, and you'll feel that bum sweep, you'll feel something, and you'll feel that moment, that opening, that split second, and you'll end up on top. And there's been so many times where I've just gotten on top and I've been like, hey, and then I'm not paying attention anymore. I'm just so excited.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, it takes so much time to develop like that awareness of like where you're going to go, what you're going to do from every single situation, and getting the confidence that comes with all of that, and not worrying about, oh, if I lose it, or knowing that like, oh, you just got to keep working, keep moving forward. And don't worry about if you gain a position, if you lose a position, okay, just keep working. And you know what I mean? It's a weird, I'm so envious of you, man. Like where you're at right now. Like I like
wait a minute.
No, seriously. I mean that because look, I'm going to train until my body falls apart. Like I'm going to train every day forever. Like I
mean, you kind of live jiu-jitsu. You're even wearing.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, he has a black belt, and that's what I've got for right now. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, but really, like I'm as addicted to it as I've ever been. It means more to me than it has ever meant to me now. But there was something really, really amazing about blue to brown, like that time frame. After you've been in jiu-jitsu long enough to kind of get what's going on, and then as like blue, purple, brown belt, you're like falling in love with this martial art. You're falling in love with this process. You like everything that results from jiu-jitsu, you love it. Like as painful as it can be, like you get your ass beat every day. You're sore as fuck. Everything hurts. Everything is aching. You can barely get up out of bed the right way. Like you feel like shit. You're hungry all the time. Like you get addicted to every little bit of it.
Yeah.
Every little bit of it, you know? And it's fun to, it's nice to see other people when they get to go through that same, like, I can't believe this is amazing. It just gets better and better and better. It's awesome. So in that way, I'm envious of where you are. You know, it's a good spot to be.
Yeah. I mean, I'll trade belts with you anytime. That's fine.
Fine with me. I'll do it. Yeah.
I think they'd be a little confused if I walked in and they're like, what?
That one doesn't quite add up.
Yeah, that something doesn't make sense. But you're absolutely right. Going through all of this, and again, you know, jiu-jitsu has just evolved so much. You know, in the last 10 years, you look at the last 50 years.
Oh yeah, Jesus!
Look at what it's done. You know, every Brazilian jiu-jitsu is derived from Japanese jiu-jitsu and everything else. And we have, you know, obviously the Gracies and everybody else, and the Gracies really shaped everything. And people focus sometimes too much on them, but at the same time, not enough.
Oh, sure.
Because without them, we would not be where we are today. We would not have the skill set. We would not have the understanding of jiu-jitsu that we have.
Totally. Yeah. Like literally, no matter what you think or feel about the Gracie family, every one of us who practices jiu-jitsu worldwide owes them all a debt. It's just the way it is, you know? Like I don't always get into like the kind of mythology and hero worship that goes on in martial arts circles. And, you know, I don't necessarily, you know, I respect all the Gracies. I like them all, but there's just some that I don't follow because it's just a little much for me sometimes. But regardless, every one of them, you owe them. I mean, especially Hoyce, you know, like of anybody, Hoyce is the man, you know, he's the guy, because he's the dude who was like, all right, I'm going to bear this cross for everybody and go out there and risk getting my ass destroyed. Like, you know,
and he wasn't even the first choice.
No, he wasn't. No.
And they were like, you know what? Let's get the small guy out there.
Yeah.
Let's let him do this.
It's the right idea. I mean, it makes sense why he was the man, but like, I can't imagine having to deal with that pressure. Like I get nervous before a tournament, man. Like I could never go in and do what he did. That was
absolutely not
terrifying.
And the way he did it, you know, we talked about it before. I'm almost finished. I'm sad to say, like, I still haven't finished the Shamrock book, but if you haven't seen the Shamrock book, it's fascinating.
No, I'll get it for sure.
In there that you're like, you did what?
Totally.
And you know, you even look at, you know, the backstory behind it. You know, when he fought Shamrock, he tapped Shamrock, and Shamrock kept trying to fight him. And Hoyce is looking at him going,
right.
With the Gordeau fight, he bit his ear. He bit Hoyce's ear in the clinch, and that's why he held on to that submission. He's tapping, and Hoyce is like, I'm going to show you, you know, and my best and worst Gracie jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Like, dude, my favorite one is there's a photograph of Hoyce when he fought Jason DeLucia.
Oh,
and he's gone that belly down armbar, or it's like almost a belly down armbar.
Yeah.
And you can see Hoyler in the background, and he's screaming. And in an interview somewhere, you heard that Hoyler was yelling, "Break it, break it!" You know, like, or that moment when I think it was Hoyler versus Sakuraba, right? And they stop it, and Hoyler like reaches back and like pulls his like backwards like this, like reaches back and pulls his arm up all the way around, so you could see how far his arm was willing to go. He was so flexible, and because he was like, "I'm not gonna fucking tap," you know, he's just. Those guys are warriors, man.
Was it Henzo Henzo did that too? I thought
Henzo got his arm busted.
Yeah, I was gonna say Henzo.
And there's
Henzo went, "Why did you stop the fight?" He goes, "Why'd you stop it?"
But his arm was totally screwed. But I might be thinking of somebody else. But I know there's a fight with Hoyler where he does that. He reaches back and he pulls his arm up, and he like just literally pulls his own arm up in like a Kimura position. And it's just like, I don't care, like. It's fine. I wasn't going to tap, but it was like, Jesus Christ, dude. How can you do that?
That reminds me of the Frank Mir Nogueira fight, the second one.
When he spiral fractured the arm?
Oh, God. And you're looking at Nogueira's like, I'm fine. And then there's a picture, and he's just going,
fine.
He's just staring at his arm. That's just like.
Those dudes all have balls of steel, man. I don't have that. I can't do that.
No,
that's amazing.
My beard's trimmed down, and I realize a beard in jiu-jitsu is both a blessing and a curse. Because guillotines come here
Oh yeah.
and they get all of that. I've tapped and people went, "What did you tap to?" I'm like, "You had my entire beard," which is
Yeah.
perfectly legal at this point.
Totally.
You're not doing anything wrong.
It's true. It's true, man. I'm right there with you.
But I realized throughout the course of this, like, I knew about the Gracies before I ever knew about jujitsu, and it was
Yes.
because
Yeah.
of the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, the
So
movie with
yeah,
Hickson.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
breathing techniques.
Smacking him. Edward Norton just smacks him a bunch of times. It's awesome.
I
So
was
funny,
like,
man. That dude is a scary human. I'll tell you what. Hickson's a scary. He is obviously the nicest guy in the world, but
Hickson's probably my.
he's
We don't
he's the
talk about the heroes, but when he would
he's
just
the goat.
his pride fights,
Yeah.
he would just come out like this and he would do that diagonal walk. Dude, I
So
walked
good,
away
man.
from the TV once because I was scared. I was like, "Oh God, he's gonna jump through the TV!" like,
Dude, he's a scary human, man. Like
yeah,
I just so much admiration for a guy like that, man. It's
yeah,
remarkable. He's got a book out too right now called Breathe,
yeah,
and it's good. Some stuff's a little funny, but it's that guy. Every single interview I've ever heard with him, it's like you feel like you just learned 20 years worth of knowledge. You're like, this dude is so sage and so brilliant, and like it's unbelievable. Honestly, it's unbelievable. And from the life he's lived, like no wonder he's like that. You know what I mean? All those
So
guys.
these
Oh,
are all
nice,
sitting, these are all sitting next to my desk.
nice.
So Dwayne Finley's an MMA writer. He kind of, we've talked about this before, and he almost had me crying on my own show, and I was like, "Damn it, Dwayne!"
Nice. I like it.
When you look up to somebody as a writer, and I was going through a point where I was like, the MMA media was not allowed to be friends. You weren't supposed to be friends with the fighters. You weren't
Yeah.
supposed to take pictures with the fighters. Like, it destroyed your credibility. And I read the stuff that
What?
Dwayne did. That's how it was. It was in the back. It was in the
That's
background. And I
crazy.
know anybody who watches this might disagree with me, but it was there. It was
Yeah.
part of the etiquette. If you look at the back of your freaking press pass,
Yeah.
it says no autographs, no pictures. Like, it
Yeah.
says all that on there, and you're supposed to abide by that. So I was living it so strictly. And I
Right.
remember talking to Dwayne and getting to, meet him over the years. And I just went, "You're allowed to be like friends with them. You can have a non-biased opinion and still be
Yeah.
friends with somebody. It's
Yeah.
possible."
Sure. Sure.
But like reading these books like Beast, and the Shamrock book, you just go through this stuff and you're like, "What the hell
Yeah.
was that?"
Yes.
So Hickson's book is actually next on my list. So thank you for reminding me about that.
Yeah,
So
of course. Yeah, yeah, dude, it's a good book. Yeah, I'll have to check out the Shamrock one. That sounds really good, man. I love reading memoirs by fighters and just different stories and things they have to say. I mean, it's honestly like I can't get enough of that. I can't get it. Like they used to do these like it used to be a really strong culture in jiu-jitsu. There was a lot of like videos of athletes being made and like little
yeah,
scoops, like BJJ hacks and BJJ picks and Stuart Cooper and a handful of other guys who used to make these really rad short interviews and short documentaries on different champions and stuff. I miss those days. That was fun, man. I loved watching those things. If somebody made any content that somebody can make about jiu-jitsu and MMA, like I want to consume it. It's just the best.
yeah, and I think that's the other thing about jujitsu is that you never know what's going to apply to you, because
Yeah.
everybody, you'll do a technique in class, and I'll look at it and go, I mean, that's cool, but that's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's,
sure.
my
Sure.
body doesn't move that way.
Totally. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like lockdown. I like deep half guard. When you
You
get to
play
those,
that you play that 10th planet stuff, huh?
yeah, not even that, but the
Those
lockdown for
guys are
me was
good.
something I learned accidentally.
Oh, okay. Sure, sure.
It was something I
Sure.
learned where I could figure four,
Yeah.
hook their leg with my foot,
Yep.
and they weren't moving. I held
Sure,
somebody
sure.
for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and I was just like, all right, what are you going to do? I'm like, I know
Yeah,
I'm not
sure.
improving, but neither are
Right.
you.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and there's some things you learn and you just go, okay, that's for me. I love our
Oh,
coach
yeah.
on Saturdays would always go over, Turtle, because he loved Turtle.
Oh man.
Attacks from
Nice.
turtle, attacks to turtle. And
Mhm.
then one of the things I kind of figured out on my own was an ankle pick while somebody's in turtle. You grab the collar, you grab the ankle, and you just flip them over. Because
Oh,
most
sure,
of the
yeah.
time they have no idea that it's coming.
Yeah, people just tend to hunker down, and so you can just flip them over. Sure, that's true. That's true. Um, I hope it's okay. I mean, I know we haven't like talked about art at all. Like, I hope that's not a problem.
No, we're getting there. So we still got
Okay, cool.
we got time. Like it's a
Okay, I just
lot.
wanted to make sure.
Listen, I'll say this, and you know, getting to do this show, when I decided to do this show was because of COVID.
Okay.
It's because we were locked in. It was because, and I hate being on video. I hate hearing my own voice, believe it or not.
Yeah, crazy.
And it kind of got me out of that comfort zone, which I think, people have focused so much on the negative that COVID has brought, but they don't focus on what positive has come out. There are
Yeah,
people
sure.
who started their own businesses, and I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Pucks and Pizza, who literally left his job to make deep dish Chicago pizza in Palm Harbor, Florida, of all
Yeah,
places, was cooking
yeah.
it out of his house and got such a following, got his own truck, and literally that's his full-time job now. He never would have been able to do that
That's
had it not been for this. I have people who
awesome.
started training, whether it be jiu-jitsu or MMA, or switched to a new job because they said, "Oh, I don't have the time," or "I can't go back to school. I don't have time." Well, now you do. There was no excuse.
Yeah,
There
for
was nothing
sure.
stopping people. So, when I
Yeah,
started doing this, like I said, I had Miguel Torres on there, and again, being one of the first people I ever watched fight, it was kind of like
that's
I had
sick.
to I had to hold back the fanboy.
It's
I don't
hard to
know if
do,
it,
man. I
I
get
don't
it.
know
I
if it
fanboy
worked
all
or
the
not.
time.
Well, and the reason I brought him on is because he's working with Parkinson's patients
Oh,
from
sick. Really?
like 70 to 80 years old. And I
Oh,
want to
wow.
say his
Jeez.
oldest guy was 84. And it
Whoa.
really speaks to, he was like, it really comes down to, and I said, I hate to use this analogy, but if you don't use it, you lose it. Really
Yeah.
actually means something when it comes to Parkinson's, because if you're not using those parts of your body, and so
Sure.
he's got these 5 guys. I want to say he called them the Wolf Pack. I'm sorry if I'm calling them up. But again,
That's
I'm
sick.
still like trying to process because it was something I think needed to be shared. Miguel Angel Torres is a legend.
Yeah.
When we talk about those old pride fights, like I got to talk to Ensign Inoue.
Dude,
And
he's so freaking good, man. That
and
fight he
I
had
didn't.
against Randy Couture,
Oh
bro.
my God, yes.
Bro.
So talking to him,
Yeah.
I did a fair share of research, but I had watched him fight, and I'm trying to talk to him and like keep my wits about me. And I
Yeah.
remember saying, I was like, I'm not going to ask you your favorite ice cream. I already know it's Rocky Road. And he just went, holy shit. I
That's
was like,
awesome. That's so sick.
but he told me during one of those Igor Vonchenskin fights, he was next to Igor's opponent's girlfriend or wife,
Oh,
and they
okay.
thought he died. When Igor hit him and he punched him twice before he hit the ground, he goes,
Mm.
she thought he died. She thought he was dead. She was screaming bloody murder. And I'm like,
Dude, I've seen
I
some of
know that's
those.
terrible, but this is one of the coolest stories ever.
I know that's a good story, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of those where you think somebody might have died. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's amazing what
So,
people can tolerate in MMA. Anyway, sorry.
no, you're fine. Like for me, I know people probably get mad because I'm like, some episodes are 30 minutes, some episodes are 2 hours. Like whatever. Like
I don't
it's
care. I just
2022. We can do whatever.
that's true.
So let's talk about the art because that
Sure.
was
Yeah.
the main. I don't want to say the main reason, but
No, it's
I
the
didn't know
main
you were
reason.
a
It's all
black
good.
belt. I didn't know you were a black belt until I
Hey.
started doing some work, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And
I'm a weird guy. I got a lot of weird. I'm also like I breed reptiles too. It's like I got all kinds of weird, crazy like side hustles and gigs that I'm doing all the time.
let's see, I run social media for a brewery. I have a full-time job. I have the
Yeah.
photography. I do the
Yeah.
podcast. I
It's a
got you.
lot. You got it's true. You
It might
do.
not be breeding reptiles, so
It's fun, man. It's a good time. I enjoy it a lot.
so let's
But
talk
anyway,
about that. Let's
yeah,
talk about that for a second because
sure,
that's
yeah,
interesting enough.
yeah. Let's do it.
How and why?
Um, Well, so I guess I just always liked them, when I was a little kid. I liked dinosaurs. And so then I ended up really, really liking lizards and snakes and frogs. And I've always been even when I was a little kid, man, I was studying biology and ants and plants. It's just, I'm like a super biology nerd. And so then eventually I just started keeping a few as pets. And then, the more you get into it, it's kind of like jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of levels to it, right? So,
Yeah.
you start at entry level, you have some lizard like an anole or a bearded dragon or something. And then eventually you just get interested in more and more niche, like rare, weird stuff. And you're like, wow, those are some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It's kind of like koi. You know what I mean? Like people do koi. It's the same,
But yeah,
same
Ensign had a
kind of
koi
thing.
pond he was building, so that was cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's kind of like that, and so I do it. I have a warehouse in Colorado here where I operate my business out of there,
wait,
and
what?
yeah, it's like a real, it's a real thing. It's not like a couple of tanks in the corner. It's like really like a full business.
It's not like the guy around the corner who's got the blue light. Like,
That's
yeah,
right. No, different guy. No, but I know we talk because you and I have spoken on Instagram. That's how we got connected.
yeah.
I have another Instagram that's just for my reptiles, and it's this whole separate thing. And usually when I'm not posting on the art Instagram, it's because I'm too busy with the reptiles, so I don't have time. It's like a harvest season, so it's busy. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy in one of the buildings around from us. There's one room in the house that's bright, like
totally
blue.
Yeah.
And I went, you either have a small grow house,
Yep.
or you've got a reptile. Like,
yeah, for sure, totally. And here it's like, it's in Colorado. If it was a grow house, that's totally legit. Weed's legal here, so you can do whatever you want.
and not here.
No, not in Florida, not yet. Soon enough, I'm sure.
Listen, if
But anyway,
John Morgan makes enough more videos.
Yeah, right. Right? Totally.
Oh man, so keep in mind there's a Morgan & Morgan like right outside my door. So it's hilarious.
That's awesome. That's hilarious.
I just want to run into the guy one day and be like, "Can you just say something on camera that's ridiculous?"
Do it. Yeah, for sure. Heck yeah. Anyways, yeah. So the artwork, man, I mean, I it's kind of funny actually the way I started making artwork for jiu-jitsu. So basically I was doing this post grad thing in Austin, Texas. I had moved from Colorado to Austin to do an art program after I had graduated college here in Colorado. And so it wasn't accredited, but it was like an apprentice style thing with a bunch of real amazing professional artists. And they offered me a full scholarship. So I went there to attend. Yeah, for sure. And there was an assignment for one of the classes that was like, you have to bring your sketchbook with you wherever you go for like 7 days. And I trained all the time. So I was like, all right, I'm going to bring my sketchbook. And I would just bring my sketchbook and I would draw my partner's training, and it's hard to do because people move pretty quickly. But, if you do things really simply, you can get a lot of information down. And so then I was like, well, I also like, one of the things I have a problem with is I watch all kinds of tape. So I just watch jiu-jitsu championships like ruthlessly, religiously. Like I can't, like I know, like honestly, I'd love to commentate for jiu-jitsu one day. I'd love to do that because I can talk about it for years. It's the best.
Oh yeah,
but
I believe that just how you're talking about everything else. Yeah, that's
I love it, man.
I'd be like, in the moment, I'd probably be like, he's doing some shit. I don't know.
Well, so anyway, so I would get hooked on these jiu-jitsu videos, and so I'm watching the replays of the old world championships from 98, right? Or replays of the last ADCC, or replays of the last, whatever UFC where somebody, pulled a triangle or did something rad. And so then I started just drawing from footage, and I'd be like, oh yeah, like I love this. I forgot. I love this so much. This is like one of my favorite matches. So I would just draw it. And I did those in that sketchbook for that class. And at the time I was just sharing on Facebook all the time. I would share my artwork on Facebook. And so I liked the drawings. The people in the class kind of got a kick out of them. So I was like, all right, I'll just put them up on Facebook. And as soon as I put them up, a couple hours later, I had like 4 or 5 messages in my inbox saying, "Hey, like, can we put that on a shirt, or can we do this for whatever?" And I was like, yeah, sure, let's try it.
Yeah,
And
let's try it.
yeah, why not, man? I mean, I was so focused at the time. I was studying to do artwork for games and film, so like concept art, pre-production stuff, you know. So that's what I did when I was living in
Yeah.
Germany. Yeah, I lived over in Germany doing that, and it was like, you know, comics and creature design and environment design and ship design, all that stuff. That was what I was trying to do. And so um, I didn't pay attention to the jujitsu artwork because I was like, who cares? You know, like
Yeah, you're
that's
like,
not
this
really,
isn't a big deal.
yeah, this isn't a big deal. But I always, after that class assignment, I always was like, well, if I wanted a little confidence boost, I would do a jujitsu drawing and post it up because I'd get a lot of positive feedback from it, right? And so eventually, over time, I just ended up, you know, I kept doing a few odd jobs and a few commissions on the side, and eventually started making work for like the odd gi company. And at first it was just startup gi company stuff, right? Like, oh, we're launching our first kimono, can you do a design for the inlay or something like
Which
that? Like,
some of that stuff I've found is
yeah.
pretty badass.
Oh, thanks,
Like
appreciate
the
it.
inside of the, like to me, art inside of a gi is a
Yeah.
lost art.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Because
it's
you'll see a
so,
gi and like, I had to order like 6 gis to find a
yeah,
gi for my size. Like I'm 5'10",
yeah,
like 270, 280. Like
right,
it's hard. And I found the Vulcan A3s were perfect.
perfect, yeah, for sure.
But it's so plain. I love
Yeah,
get, when you open it up and there's a whole story inside of it. And I
totally.
realize that's not why you're supposed to have it. It's supposed to be functional, but there's something about that that's just
Man, people buy banana yellow geese too, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you get what you like, right? And I think, yeah, so I think I too, I mean, there's certainly something about when you see, like, back in the day, you'd see Crone Gracie go compete with no patches on his gi, just patchless gi,
yeah.
right? Just clean gi. That's pretty sick. But then, you know, it's at the same time, I also would love it when you'd see a gi patched out like crazy, right? With like 20 different sponsors. I
Yeah.
think I think it makes a lot of sense, right? It's a cool place to display something other than just the jujitsu of the practitioner wearing it, right?
All right. I see
Um,
Zeus behind you.
there he is. Yeah, hey guy. Use. He's a funny cat. Anyway, and then so it started with those, and then it turned into like I had a few people steal my artwork and put it on iPhone cases, and they were selling them on like an Etsy shop.
Oh
So
shit.
I sent him a cease and desist letter, and then I was like, "That's a good idea, though." So I started making iPhone covers and cases and stuff. Yeah,
You're like, thanks, buddy.
yeah. Thanks for the tip, bro. And then you know, I just did a bunch of odd jobs, like Ken Pramola. I don't know if you know Ken Pramola, but he was a relatively prominent jiu-jitsu writer and competitor and practitioner for a little while, like a few years ago. And he was making ebooks at the time, and so he was commissioning me to do like a cover for his ebook, or, you know, like a couple interior illustrations for his ebook or something like that. So I would do that kind of stuff. Um, Eventually did a few gi pieces for like Tatami, did some stuff for Scramble gear, or Scramble brand rather. I love Scramble a lot.
Mhm.
I love their clothes. And then you know, just little things like that here and there. And then it wasn't until a little more recently when I started just doing work for me, stuff that I like, and kind of selling it as prints. And part of the reason I chose to do that is because uh, sort of embarrassed to admit that for some reason the pressure of like a job, like, you know, when Scramble would come to me, when Tatami would come to me for designs, don't get me wrong, I've done plenty of good ones that ended up on a great gi or on a great shirt or something like that. But
Mhm.
I would say out of the designs that I've done, I've probably done, Jesus, hundreds by now, and maybe 100 of them at most have ever gone on the final product, you know. And some of that's been just either because, you know, maybe the person who was commissioning the thing like ran out of money or never like got the project to fruition, or maybe it was
Yeah.
you know, but sometimes it was just that my work didn't really hit the target that the client wanted. You know what I mean? And so it was like, all right, you know, I keep doing this thing. And also, to be honest, a lot of people, when they come to you, you know, as an artist, when they come to you with what they want, it's either a bad idea or it's like they want you to do someone else's style of work, because they're like, oh, you could, you know, what we want is this guy's work, but we want you to do it because you're cheaper. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
I'm jumping right in there because the photography
Yeah.
is the same way.
Totally.
It took years and years and years for me to start asking 3 questions.
Yep.
Have you looked at, you know, oh, hey, we want you to do, have you looked at my work?
Yep.
When do you need this by?
Deadline.
When is the date that this is happening? And what is your budget?
Totally.
And generally speaking, the budget will flux based on how quickly I need to, you know,
Yep.
if you tell me my wedding's next Monday and it's Friday,
right,
budget goes up.
Yeah,
just how that works.
Yep, totally.
But I know exactly what you're talking about, because people go, oh, look, I want you to do this. And I go, that's not my style.
Right.
So
right.
I understand that 100%. It's nice to know it happens in other channels too.
Totally. No, it happens in every art channel, man, because the thing is, most people think of artists as the same thing. They think they're all the same. And so they see you're an artist, so you can do my tattoo, my logo, my gi design, everything. And it's like, no. That's not technically, yeah, some artists are capable of a lot, but that's not really how it goes. And if you want a certain look, you should find the artist that makes work that looks like that. Because so, you know, part of what I was trying to get at within this theme is that it's been hard for me to hit the target for like what specific clients want, because they always come with, you know, they have a bad idea, like that. I want like a picture of a spider and it's like biting the neck of a crocodile and it's like spider guard, bro, or something, you know, and you're like, what are you talking about? You know, like it's like a bad idea or something. And so inevitably, like if those things don't line up, if you can't get alignment between what the client's looking for, what you're good at, and what's going to sell, a lot of the product's just going to fall to the wayside and it's not going to go anywhere, you know? And so at some point a couple of years ago, I decided to just totally go the other direction and just make my own work and just sell what I like, because people would always respond most to the thing that I made oh boy, I lost you, guy. Ooh. I wonder if he's going to come back.
Oh, that was awful.
That was awesome, dude.
All right, hold on a second. So, oh, good. It's been recording the whole time.
Nice.
So I freaked out because I literally just lost internet completely.
Drag, man. Sorry.
And I don't know why or what happened. So hopefully nobody gets upset that there's like 6 minutes of nothing.
What are you going to do?
But the internet quality is great now. So
now it's good.
So where did we leave? So basically you were saying, you know, you were talking about, you know, a lot of your designs not making it, spider crocodiles and that.
Yeah.
That's really what it came down to. Spider bullshit.
Yeah. It was just silly shit, you know? And so eventually I ended up making the decision a few years ago to like not really take any commissions anymore and just make, well, not a couple of years ago, I guess like it's sometime around the beginning of 2021, I just decided like, forget it. I'm just going to make whatever I want to make. And if a job comes around, like if someone comes to me and says, hey, we want you to make a design, then I'm going to do it. If it sounds cool, I'll do it, you know?
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just going to make what I want to make, because, you know, when I make whatever's interesting to me, that's when I get the most feedback from people who follow my work. But it's every time I'm doing something like someone else's idea or someone else's thing, or like trying to do something that's not really who I am, I get a lot of like, really low response from people. So
no, and I get that too. 2021 was the first year that I stopped saying no when people offered to pay me.
Yeah.
Because photography for me was an outlet. It was a hobby.
Okay.
It was not something I needed to make money on. But I realized that all those years of me doing things for free or doing things for extremely low prices,
way too little,
was undervaluing not only myself, but anyone else doing this.
Totally.
And that was kind of rough to kind of, realize, because you realize you're like, oh, I'm just doing this for fun. And, this past year, in case the IRS is watching, I won't say how much I made, but I made more than I've ever made in my life.
Nice. That's awesome.
I think I did like 45 shoots this past year, which is a lot.
Wow.
To do, when I have a full-time job. It's not my full-time job. This isn't my job. I'm not getting paid to do this. I don't care that anybody needs to know that, but I do this because I love it. I get the people on here because I want to talk to people who have a different perspective, who have a different mindset. And everything you're saying is just resonating with me, not only on the jiu-jitsu side, but on the artist side as well.
For sure.
It's kind of freaking me the fuck out.
Dude, I feel you. No, I get it, because I have done a lot. That was the other problem. It's like people would come to you and say, oh, we want you to do this design. We want you to be our artist for like all of our t-shirts or all of our whatever. And I'm like, all right, what's your budget? You can offer royalties per shirt. And I'd be like, oh no, we were going to like pay you. And we were just going to figured like, exposure, which we just get your name out there. And I'm like,
oh God, that is so.
It's number one, it's disrespectful. And number two, it's like, bro, I've got more followers than you. Like, I don't need your exposure. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't. And more importantly, I can't pay for my groceries or my heating bill with exposure. It's not how it works, And it's like a time issue, If I'm putting in the time, people don't understand how long it takes to make artwork. They think, oh, it's easy, it's fun. It's like, no, it takes a long time to make work. And it's also one of the most taken for granted industries in the world. Like, if people have no idea how completely weird the world would be if there was no art anywhere.
Yeah.
It would be fucking bizarre.
Right.
Everything that we care about, there's an artist somewhere in the process, whether it's at the ideation, whether it's at the manufacture, the development, the marketing, everything. Like, there's art at every level of society. Yeah. And if you don't value it, then you're not going to be successful. Like, it's just not how it goes. There is not a successful company out there that doesn't pay their damn graphic designers to make their logo, or that, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a reason what the Pepsi logo looks like. There's a reason what the UFC logo looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like someone did Joe Rogan's logo, and we know, everyone knows what that icon looks like. Like, it's because an artist made it, not because someone, not because Rogan was like, oh, I'm just going to have somebody do it for free. No, like, he paid whoever did that damn logo,
Yeah.
And so I really resonate with what you're talking about it. And again, I had a whole long career in artwork before focusing on jiu-jitsu. And even in that part of it, that was a much more mainstream industry. And even that was really difficult, and there was this other, I did some jiu-jitsu artwork for Seymour Yang. Do you know who that is? Mirkatsu.
The name sounds familiar. And I feel like as soon as
he's like Honey Badger Rash Guard, I think is his most famous. Yeah. He's awesome. Right. And he was the art director or an editor for a little while for Jiu-Jitsu Style magazine. And he had me do an illustration that went in Jiu-Jitsu Style magazine. And that, to me, that was the peak. I can't
go anywhere down from here.
Every day for the rest of my life, like, I could do that every day, because it's like, editorial illustration is one of the things I always wanted to do when I was in college. But unfortunately, editorial's kind of dying right now, right? Like, print is dying. And so even though there are still editorial illustration jobs, they're all for online magazines, online articles, online whatever. Yeah,
I
like
think we need to change that. We can't call them
well,
magazines anymore.
yeah, I mean, we'll call them something else like this.
No, but that's they do. They still call them magazines, but they're
I know,
online.
it's
And I said,
weird. I know.
I need something in my
Yeah,
hands.
right. Was that The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield?
It is.
It's a good book.
I haven't read it yet.
Good
It's
book.
on my list.
Really, really good. You're gonna love it, man. It's great.
So, and
he's also really, really great. He's got other books too. He did a book called Gates of Fire and Tides of War. And the Gates of Fire is a historical fiction about the Spartans, the 300 Spartans at the Battle of Thermopylae, and then Tides of War
incredibly inaccurate on
right.
the movie 300, but
the book is really good. It's really well written and well researched.
Gates of Fire. What was the other one?
Gates of Fire, Tides of War. That one's about the Peloponnesian War in Greece or in the Mediterranean.
So I love history too.
So good, man.
Keep in mind that during this show, I bought the Hickson book.
All right, nice, good.
I'm a little ashamed that I didn't have it, but the fact that I literally did this, and you saw that was kind of mind blowing.
I'm a visual guy, man. I remember stuff really easily.
Obviously.
Well, it's there's another book you should know if you don't know it. It's Robert Drysdale, and it's called Opening the Closed Guard, and it's amazing. So
I know Drysdale, obviously.
You know who Drysdale is? Yeah, he's a legend, right? He is one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners. Period. In history, he's one of the best. But no one talks about him when they talk about the greatest American jiu-jitsu players. Everyone talks about BJ Penn and Lovato. Both legends, both incredible practitioners.
Because BJ Penn got his black belt ridiculously fast.
3 years, right? But Drysdale, he's like a world champion, ADCC champion, ADC Open Class champion, right? He submitted Marcelo Garcia. That's amazing. Yeah. He's a legend. But he's got a book called Opening the Closed Guard, and it's all about it's like historical writing with regard to the history of jiu-jitsu kind of and how it, in Brazil and then it's coming to America, so it's kind of a mismatch. It's a lot. It's like all interviews and historical record of like how many Japanese were actually in Brazil teaching jiu-jitsu and which ones had nothing to do with the Gracies. And then, and he's got some, like, admittedly, I think some of it, what I love about his book is it dispels a little bit of the mythology around the Gracie family and I don't want to speak too much. I don't want to overstate what the book is and everything. I think you should just get it. It's exceptional. Robert's a great writer. It's a really good book. It's one of the best I've read. So along with the Hickson book, you should buy that one. It's really good.
I'm looking for it right now.
Yeah. And I don't know where I would imagine it would be like on Amazon. And if it's not, you should probably. It is? Okay, good. Yeah, it's really good. It's so good. Yeah, that's the one. It's so good, man. It's amazing. It's so interesting because I have this okay, I know this we're going to talk about I swear I'll get back to the art in a second, but so, everybody likes to talk
like this is great. This is what I want. I want a conversation. I don't want to be like, let me ask you about A, B, C, D. Like,
no, for
real
sure.
quick, I used to have a list of questions to ask people.
Sure.
And I stopped doing that.
Well, it's helpful if because sometimes you get people who don't want to talk, but I'm a loudmouth, so I just talk all the time.
Oh no, I've gotten people, and I won't say who. I'm that kind of person, but I've asked questions and I've asked open-ended questions. I'm a psych major. Like I have a master's in psychology. Like, and I'll ask an open-ended question and they'll answer it yes or no. And I'm like, you can't. No, that's
right.
not how this works.
Yeah, no. It's like you got to give more of a But one of the topics that everybody likes to talk about is like who invented what technique or where did jiu-jitsu, where did it, did it really really how much did the Brazilians modify it? Like, well, really not really at all. It looks like the Japanese have been doing the same stuff for more than a century, right?
Yeah.
So there was really no real modification. And the only, if my instructor has a judo book where it's like 100 years old. It's made in canvas and you can open it up and you see leg drags and omoplatas and de la Hivagard, you see all of it. And you're like, oh, so what was the innovation? You know what I mean? And, like, where was it? And you see, and it's the same all the same self-defense techniques. It was all there. But then the only stuff that doesn't exist in those books is like lapel wraps, like lapel guards, and like,
I love that. That's
right.
something I'm working on, because that is underutilized to me.
Totally. And some of the innovative footlock stuff, some of it, I mean, some like heel hooks and straight ankle locks and toe holds, they've all been there forever. Knee bars, they've all been there, but just some of the different applications just weren't there. Right. And so anyway, people love to talk about, like, well, where did it come from really? And, actually, well, the Japanese got it from monks in India and all this other stuff. And it's like, no. Because you can go back at ancient Greece and look at pancration and see people doing kimuras and heel hooks and stuff like that. I think
they just didn't have a name for it. They didn't have the same.
Totally different name.
It was a different style.
Yeah, I think it's what we're probably going to find out, if there aren't people who already know this, is that jiu-jitsu and submission grappling has probably been with us since we became humans, like before, when we were primates. Like, we all can watch videos of gorillas wrestling and fighting, and they shoot double legs on each other, and they try to put each other on their back. They try to pummel the shit out of each other, right? Like, there was a video of an orangutan. It was like a frame by frame. It was like going around on the internet like 10 years ago when the Berimbolo was coming out, right? And there's literally 2 baby orangutans wrestling with each other, and one of them does a damn Berimbolo and takes the back. Like, that was the game. He does this. It's the same move, like frame for frame for frame. You watch, I told you I like reptiles, right? You watch videos of monitor lizards fighting, and they're basically doing Greco-Roman wrestling. They're just tossing each other with their upper body and trying to put each other on their back. That's it. It's amazing. And so no one owns jiu-jitsu. No one founded it. No one invented it. It's a series of movements that have been with us since before we were human. Okay. And maybe there's been some additions along the way, but it wasn't one person who did it. That's for sure. And
it was
the
one
same
person
thing is
who named it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, this century, it was one person who named it, right?
Well, and
like
throwing out a random bit of the information in my head.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons from Kiss trademarked the word OJ, like the term OJ.
Okay.
Like,
you mean for orange juice or for Simpson?
For orange juice.
Okay.
But the man's a genius, and if you haven't looked into him, like, he really is. And if you look into a lot of those, rock stars, because everybody thinks, just like MMA fighters, rock stars have to be dumb, they have to be that.
No,
and guys like him, D. Snyder is one of my favorites to watch. Everything he did in the 80s with the PMRC. And I know that's going really deep down the rabbit hole, but
way deep.
I love that shit. When he walked in there and they were like, look at this guy.
Yeah.
And he pulled out his folded up piece of paper and started reading, and they went, what?
Yeah. Right.
I think that's the way it is with jiu-jitsu. I think you've made a valid point, which I already know a lot of people are going to have a problem with.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. People don't,
but at the same time,
it's fine,
people coming up with, Edison, the light bulb, and this and that, like, these inventions that happened before. Mm-hmm. They happened on a different scale. It was just who did the right mediums to present it in a way that it is their own.
Totally.
What did you modify just enough to make it your own?
Of course, yeah. And I mean, Kimura, right? Like the Kimura lock that we call the Kimura now, it was Kimura, the guy, the man. He was a giant. Like, he fought Elio, right? We all know the story. And it's like, but there's no way that Kimura was the one who invented it. It's been you could see it. You can see grips on Greek statues that look it's the same grip.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways you can bend the body and make somebody scream. You know what I mean? And it like, eventually you're going to figure out how to do it.
That sounds terrible.
That's what my coach says. He's like, there's only so many ways to break the human body, like, it's eventually somebody's just going to figure it out. And and again, it's not, none of that takes away. Like, it's the beautiful thing about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and what the Gracies did for it has nothing to do with the techniques. It's got everything to do with the fact that they marketed it well, that they're charismatic, that they're all champions, and that they're badasses. Like, they all know what they're doing. That's what made, and they're such a personality, there's so much wildness around the Gracie family. It's amazing. Like, we all owe them a debt. That's just the way it is. But I mean, I can't, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think any one person or any 10 people are going to invent jiu-jitsu or invent anything about jiu-jitsu. It's going to take.
I think all of us invent jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
We all do something. And I know there's so many times when, at least when you're a white belt, you know, even blue belt, well, you'll be like, what if I did this, this, and this?
Yeah.
And someone will look at you and go, that's dumb.
Sure.
Don't do that.
Totally.
And you'll try it and it doesn't work.
Dude, the buggy choke. You know the buggy choke?
It's yes.
If you watch the Who's Number One, the Ruotolo brothers are actually hitting it on like other world-class black belts now. All of a sudden, it's like the one where someone passes the cross side and you like wrap up your leg, or their head is and arm is in here in like the gap from cross side, and you like hook their leg and you squeeze and they tap, right? 6 years or so ago, there was a dude doing it here on the Fight to Win Pro stage, like in Colorado, and he was like winning fights, calling it the bunny choke. And I remember joking about it with my friends, like, dude, anybody taps to that, they're a loser. Totally wrong. All of a sudden now, world-class guys are doing it. All right, I was a dumbass. I got to change my opinion.
Listen to how many people say if you get tapped by a rear naked choke, you're not a black belt.
That's
because
psychotic.
People will say that, and I'm like, what is the choke that people are using on black belt level?
What are they talking about? With someone who says that probably doesn't train, right?
No,
because if a rear naked choke, literally everyone dies from a rear naked choke. I don't care how thick your neck is. Someone puts a rear naked choke on you and they hold it for a minute, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Like black belt or not, it doesn't matter.
Add in the body triangle.
Oh, sure. It's rough, man. It's not fun.
Listen, was it Buchecha when who's fighting in one now? I want to say it's him.
Buchecha is, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, he crossed his legs when he did a rear naked choke, and I was like,
and just squeezed. Yeah.
But it was like he crossed his feet, and I was like, no, don't do that. And then I went, it's him.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely rules that we all say, like, but some of the rules is because we're not Buchecha. You know what I mean? Like, you look at like some of the new guys coming out, like Gordon Ryan. Yeah. Or his teammate Gary Tonin, right?
Yeah.
Gary Tonin is one of the most exciting grapplers I've ever seen. Him and all those guys, all the Danaher guys are incredible. They're so good, man. But like, to be sure, just like if you're Rafa Mendes, you can do things that you and I can't do. If you're Andre Galvao, he can do things that you and I are never going to be able to do. Yeah. The same thing is true of Gordon and Gary Tonin and Ethan Krellinston and Nicky Ryan and Nicky Rodriguez, all of them. They're exceptional humans. And so like just because they can do something doesn't mean all of us can do something, right? Yeah. Like we should be able to, but they're incredible. Those guys are unfucking believable, you know?
Well, and that's the beauty of a black belt though. You know, you having a black belt, you know that there's literally somebody walks in with a black belt. You don't know if he's been training for 12 years or 20 years or 30 years. You don't know what style he's been in. You don't know what other arts he knows. And it's still crazy to me that, you know, I got into this and I always joke that I'm not a violent person. So it was really weird for me to love MMA.
Every one of us has violence in us, man. It's not just you.
But finding out years after I was in this that my dad took judo as a kid. And I was like, why didn't you tell me this?
That's so sick. Yeah.
It was there.
Man, you want to know something kind of crazy that's similar? My uncle, so my mom's brother, had 6 boys. He had 6 kids. He has 6 boys. All of them. So we were friends when we were little kids. We met a couple of times when I was like 5 years old, and then I never saw them again until we were like adults. All of them do some kind of martial art. All of them are either MMA fighters, boxers, wrestlers, or jiu-jitsu practitioners.
Dude, every one of them.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's in some of us. You know what I mean? It may not be in everybody, and that's all right. Like, an engineer is not in me, right? Like I'm not an engineer. My dad is, but like
me neither.
Right. But like there's some level of martial arts and combat that's in all of us. And it's good for you to explore that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like
we've gotten so far away from the art.
So far away, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind.
It is, but sometimes introducing it, you don't know what's gonna happen. So when my little sister who just graduated nursing school. It's so weird to still like think about that. 2 kids, and you're like, she put my nephew in jiu-jitsu when he was 3.
Nice.
Because she said, I want to put him in karate, but it's $250 a month. And I was like,
Don't do karate. No.
So we put him in jiu-jitsu. Couldn't do front. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Cried, like, just
Oh,
got
yeah.
to that point. And then there was one day, keep in mind, he's almost 7 now. He'll be 7 this year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to do the math. He's still like 37 pounds. Like, he's tiny.
Oh, wow. Little guy.
But he competed for the first time before I did.
Oh, nice. That's great.
And he got second place because the kid who was left that he had to beat had 15 pounds on him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure.
Because that was the only other kid left.
Yeah.
So he was like, but he jumps on it and he was taking adults down. Nice. Once he got to the point, I'm like, the little kid, he's just like, yeah, watch this.
That's great, man.
And that to me is,
that's what it's all
about.
Give
him an inch. Give him an inch. You have to see if that works for them.
Yeah.
I believe it's all ingrained in us. I think that's why it's ingrained in all animals. That's why animals have animal instinct. I think in in ourselves, we have that. It's deep down, whether we ever unlock it or not. We have to have the right keys to do it.
Dude, I
feel like I should be writing a damn book right now.
No, yeah, you probably should. No, really, like, if you look at, like, just a technical stand-up, you know what I'm talking about? Like, standing up in base, doing a technical stand-up. That's how a baby gets up. Like, when a baby's learning how to walk, put their hands and one foot down, and they pick their foot up and put that other one up, and then they, like, work and try to hold themselves up. Like, they literally do a technical stand-up, and you have to teach adults how to do that. There's some adults who come into jiu-jitsu and just, they try to just, like, stand straight up right into you, and it's like,
no.
What are you doing, dude?
And I'll never forget being a kid, and we had 3 acres, and we had a lake behind the backyard, and it flooded one year, and we had water moccasins.
Oh yeah, sure.
And one of them was coming at us, and our German Shepherd ran over, like, juked around it, grabbed the back of the neck, and snapped its neck. And I'm like, Jesus. That dog had never come into contact with a snake before. Never coming, and it knew to grab that to protect everybody. And I said that. I wish we could learn jiu-jitsu that way. Like, you just know how to do it.
Well, that's why you just got to pass it on. So if you ever have kids, just make them do jiu-jitsu from day one.
Oh yeah. There's no question about that. Like,
yeah, I know. I'm lucky my fiance does jiu-jitsu too, so she knows.
That works out because, so for me, my sister who just had her second kid in May, her boyfriend is somebody she met in the dojo while she was taking my nephew, who's an MMA fighter.
That's awesome.
Then it's like when he had his last fight last year, it was me, my sister, my grandmother, and my mom all at the fight.
Yeah.
My mom's never watched an MMA fight in her life.
Okay.
She hates violence. She was a nurse for 20 years. She can't stand
my mom
fake
too.
blood. Fake blood will bother her more than anything. Somebody could be gushing blood for real, and she's like, yeah, whatever.
Weird.
And she's sitting there, and I'm watching her, and she's just like back and forth. And my grandmother loves UFC. Her favorite fighter was Chuck Liddell.
Oh yeah, that guy's a legend.
And she would text me and like Saturday night and be like, "Hey, are you watching this?"
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I wish my family was into MMA.
It brings, not everybody is, and not everybody understands. And I wear this shirt around, and I've had some people be like, "What is that? Whose podcast is that?" I'm like, "It's mine." I know it's a little shameless self-promotion, but at the same time, the people that I've talked to on here, including yourself, like I had an idea of what kind of conversation we were going to have tonight.
Yeah.
And you threw that out,
which
is even better. Like,
good.
We talked about some stuff that's going to piss some people off. The ideas behind jiu-jitsu. But at the same time, you brought a different perspective to the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be I try not to. I'm glad I brought something different to the table. I love to talk about all this stuff. I hope I don't piss too many people off. Like I
hope you do, because listen, bad press is still good press.
I know. Well, this is the second jiu-jitsu podcast I've ever done. And the first jiu-jitsu podcast I ever did pissed some people off. And so I was like, you know what I mean? Oops. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not. I'm just talking, but it's like, no one cares. Who cares? My opinion shouldn't matter to anybody. You know what I mean? I'm just out here thinking and living in the world just like everybody else.
Realistically, jiu-jitsu is an art form that is so vast and so
huge.
Different. Again, grab 5 blue belts from all over the country who have been
Yeah.
training for the exact same amount of time.
Yeah.
And you're going to have 5 different skill level people.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
Like,
Dude,
no question about it.
there are blue belts out there who tap really average black belts sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's really there's killers out there. Look
Yeah.
at like you know this kid Mika Galvao?
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
He's coming up, dude. 17 years old, he's got his black belt. He's at 16 years old, he was brown belt and just like smoking people. Just adults, like winning adult comp. He's unbelievable, dude. And him, so Mika Galvao, Tynan Dalbra, and then there's this I forget Cole Abate from AOJ, and then Damian Anderson from Danaher. Those dudes, well, and then the Roots, and then the Ruotolo Bros, of course. Those that set of guys in the next, I mean, they're already making their mark, but in like 5 years, they're going to be automatic legends. All of them. They're so good.
It's and that's what's so cool is that you have to think from the standpoint of guys. You know, you talked about Galvo. You know, I'm going to go further back. You know, talking about guys like Master Ricardo Laborio, Eduardo de Lima, who I have direct lineage to, which kind of is super cool because my professor was one of his students. And then fast forward years later, I'm at a brewery, you know, 5 miles from my house, and I'm talking to a guy, and he's like, "Yeah, that's my father-in-law," and I'm like,
"Whoa,
what?" Like, nice. I've known you for years. How did this never come up in conversation?
That's so sick.
But you look at these guys who had to really overcome everything.
Everything.
You know,
all Laborio,
those guys. I've been lucky enough to be able to call a friend for the past few years, and when we talk, and I hate just calling him Laborio because it seems disrespectful because he is a legend when it comes down to it. But he really, you know, when he talked about the old Valley Tudo days and everything they had to go through and the exposure and everything else, you know, he worked at a bank and they wouldn't let him, you know, he wasn't allowed to compete and things like we have it so easy now. You know, you drive 5 miles away, you'll run into at least 3 schools.
Totally. Yeah.
You've got this plethora, and that's we'll just use word of the day, of just these available schools ready to shape and change your life.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know some people are like, there's too many schools. And I think it's the exact opposite.
I disagree. There's not enough. Yeah.
No, because you're still not going to get, you know, we have nights. Guard Pass night on Wednesday night's my favorite. We can have 15 people. We can have 60 people.
You
never know what's going to happen, but it's one of the hardest nights of the week.
I like, do you know how in Abu Dhabi, they've like implemented jiu-jitsu as a part of their public school curriculum?
They're doing that. So Laborio's doing that with UCF in Florida. It's actually college credit.
Oh, sick. No way. Wow, man. People are so creative and they really have I can't believe it, man. There's so many incredible people in jiu-jitsu. It's pretty unreal.
And it's so funny because you're like, so many people are creative. You're incredibly creative too. And we haven't even touched on the art. So I think we need a part 2 for that. Because honestly, this has been fantastic. Like, I don't want it to end, but I know it's getting late for one of us.
Yeah, I gotta eat food. Yeah, my girl. Well, we just got dinner. I gotta eat. But
he's like, "Come on."
Oh no, it's not like that. Yeah.
But so just a few things. So I'm just gonna go through the sponsor list that's up on the screen. So La Barba Cubana, if you didn't see, was on my cup for beard care. One of my good friends makes some amazing beard care products, and I don't advertise anything that I don't use myself or I don't, you know, try out, and it's just amazing. So check him out. We definitely got. I just like to shout out Fat Boy Jiu-Jitsu because I'm not a small guy, and you know they make some really cool gis catered to the bigger guys because there are 6'8" guys, 350, 400 pounds who don't fit into a conventional gi. So you definitely got that going. So we've got Tim Makes Knives on Instagram. We actually, after the next episode, we might do it during the next episode. We actually have a couple of knives that he made that we're gonna randomly give to somebody who's been on the show. So I'm gonna get one of those random generators, and whoever it picks, that's who it's gonna go to. And then Bertzo's Bake Shop, somebody I actually went to high school with, makes some amazing desserts. So if you're ever in Orlando, you have to check them out. It's just absolutely fantastic. So again, on behalf of myself, Combat Press, the Quiggin MMA podcast, Phil, like, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I can't
Thanks,
wait to have
man.
you on again.
Of course,
Because
anytime.
honestly, you brought so much to the table. You got me reading more books, and maybe that'll be. I didn't pick any real New Year's resolutions, but now I've got a few books that I have to read before the next time you come on. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. Of course, man. Thank you. Anytime. It was a great time. I enjoyed the conversation.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.